Alright, so this is going over Goodbye Liza Jane, sort of working on being able to hold those notes long enough to get the sustain in there so it doesn't sound choppy. And before I play this, I just like to add a little aside on sort of how to practice. So when you use a metronome, it's very good practice for keeping tempo and learning to keep the time. But it's actually detrimental when you're learning the song and learning how to do certain parts well, such as keeping sustain and all that, because you really want to focus in on that certain difficult spot that you're having. But what I usually do is, the metronome stays off until I get the song pretty close to memorized, and then I break out the metronome and I start working on getting it up to speed and keeping the tempo. So I'm just gonna work through the first few bars of Goodbye Liza Jane. And you might have noticed that while I'm playing that, sometimes I'm slowing down a little bit, and that's so I can make sure every note is perfect before I move on to the next part of the song. And that's how you really get the good sustain, is when you start to slow it down and think about, okay, what's causing the choppiness, and you find sort of the problem note, then you can really focus in and polish that part up, and then you can move on. And then as you start getting better and better, you can speed it up. But my sort of method of practicing is get it to where each note sounds really good and then speed it up until they don't sound good anymore. And then, polish up at that speed and just stair-step it up as you go. And I think that is all I was going to talk about in this video.